So in this episode, we're going to work on the fingers of the STEADYREST. I'll bring you forward and we'll have a look at that.
So here we started to face off the end of the fingers. We'll be doing both ends, and this seems to be working pretty good to have them all equal length.
So here we have the finger set up in our milling machine. So we're going to drill this pilot and drill a couple of sizes smaller than 1/4 inch, and then ream this at 0.250 exactly to put our pin, when we also need to cut these 45s out and cut a groove to hold our brass insert. So let's start by drilling these holes out. Okay, so now we've got those holes drilled. I'll do the other two and off camera, and then we'll set up to take out our angles here, corners, and I'll bring you back.
So here we've installed drill rod in the pinholes of all 3 fingers to keep them lined up. So we're going to mill out, it's about 60 degrees. So here we're taking our height gauge to take a measurement of our total cut. We'll rotate the fingers and scribe on the side to give us our measurement of how much to take off. So this was our first attempt to cut brass slots in the tip of the fingers, and we soon discovered that our milling cutter was not quite long enough to be able to cut properly the width of the finger. So what we ended up doing is finishing this slot, removing it from the vise. The next two fingers were put vertical, and the slot in this finger was all welded up and done a second time in the vertical orientation, which seemed to work a lot better, and we have a square bottom in our slot.
So welcome back. So we have finished milling the slots on the arms so we can put our brass insert. We've squared the finger. So now we have to mill a 1/2 inch groove along the center of this finger, all three fingers, 1/2 inch wide length. We're going to leave a 1/2 inch of steel on the back, 1/4 inch on the front for support. So now we have to set that up in the milling machine and start milling. So I'll bring you over.
We have marked our holes for a 7/16 drill along the slot. The potted bit is sized for the web thickness of the drill bit. Here we are using our 7/16 drill bit to open up the hose, and we're putting anchor lube for cutting fluid. So all our holes have been drilled, and now we're using our 1/2 inch hogging cutter to open up this slot.
So we've finished milling our slots in these 3 fingers. So now we have to find the center, mark, drill and ream a 1/2 inch hole for a brass threaded insert. So let's mark these and we'll put it in the lathe and bore that out. So let's try and center this. Well, I guess we're going to have to run with that.
So we're going to drill this with our center drill for a pilot for our 7/16 drill bit. And now we have our 7/16 drill bit with our anchor lube. And finally, we have our 1/2" reamer with our anchor lube.
Welcome back. So here we have continuing work on our fingers for our STEADYREST for our lathe. So we've found a piece of brass rod. We've cut 3 slugs. We've measured the thickness here on all 3. They're all pretty well the same. So now we're going to, this one is already done, face off to the proper height, thickness to fit inside this slot. Then we'll machine the flat bottom so it fits tight in the bottom of the slot. Then we'll drill our hole for a .250 drill rod pin. So let's go on the mini machine and continue this work. Well, it appears we've reached the end of our video. So now our next video, we'll be taking these fingers, drilling for holding our pin to hold our brass inserts. We'll be finishing this end back here for our adjustment knob and putting our attachment inside to hold on the STEADYREST frame. So stay tuned for our next video, and thank you for watching, and I hope you subscribe.